Hello students, today we are going to study Geography chapter 4 Climate. Before starting this chapter, first let us know what is climate. Climate is an average, long-term average of weather of that particular region. It is known as climate of that place. The factors that affect the climate are the distance, the place, which region is there, the distance of that region from the equator, the topography, that is physiography of that region, the altitude of the region. This all factors should be considered before studying the climate of that place. So let us move. Students, see, this is our globe, and this is the picture, different zones that are created according to the temperature, according to the sunlight they are getting. See here, these are the sun rays that are received by our earth. So we can see this place, equator, it receives the perpendicular sunlight from the sun. The sunlight are perpendicular, but as we move away from the equator, this sun rays become slant, so the intensity of the light is less, so that naturally the temperature is less compared to the region which are here in the equator. So that as we move away from the equator, the temperature goes on decreasing. So as we come near to the equator, the temperature increases in both the hemisphere, in the northern also and also in the southern hemisphere. So here we can see here the region, this region from the Tropic of Cancer to the Tropic of Capricorn. That is the region that is called as torrid zone. This region receives perpendicular sunlight throughout the year, so the temperature here is, you will find, will always be high. It will always be high. But as we go above the Tropic of Cancer or here below the Tropic of Capricorn, here we will see the temperature decreases, or as we can say, as we move more away from the equator or farther from the equator, or like we can say we are going towards the pole, then the temperature will decrease, it will go on decreasing more and more. So where does our India lies? Our India lies here above the equator. Half of the India, the southern part, lies in below the Cancer, and half of the lies, that is northern part lies of India lies above the Cancer. So the region which is between Tropic of Cancer and equator will always have high temperature. The average temperature would be high, and above the Tropic of Cancer it would always be less. Similarly, Brazil lies between this, both these lines, equator and this Tropic of Cancer passes through it. So here the maximum region which lies in Brazil will always have a high temperature, and when it goes below this Tropic of Capricorn, the temperature goes on decreasing. See this part, how you can see in the slide how the light is received, direct sunlight is received by this region, and as we move away from the equator, the sun rays are going decreasing. So different temperature zones are created on our earth. So let us make friends with map of Brazil. You can see the lines, these lines. What are these lines? These are the winds. So these are the northeast and southeast winds, trade winds. This wind brings rain to Brazil. What are these arrows? These arrows are the trade winds that bring rains to the Brazil. And what are these lines? So from this map only we can come to know that this map shows us the annual average precipitation, that is rainfall, and temperature of Brazil. So these lines are the average temperature of that average temperature places are joined by these lines. So we can see that average temperature of maximum places in Brazil is 28, then here it is 23, and then as we go down it is 18 and 18. Just we can see here that this is 0 degree, that means this is the equator. So this region which is near to the equator and see here, this is Tropic of Capricorn. So, the region between this are having maximum 28, 23, they are having the maximum, the nearest to the equator is having the maximum temperature, but as we move away from the equator, we are coming towards the Tropic of Capricorn, we see 18-degree temperature. Similarly, we can see this different rain zone. The different, that means here there is heavy rainfall, and as the shade goes lighter and lighter, that places receive less rainfall. So, what is the reason of this receiving less rainfall? So, let us move to this cross section of Brazil's physiography. Students, in earlier chapter you must have read about the escarpments and the Brazilian highlands. So, these winds, they flow from this ocean. When they flow from here, this escarpment stops them. They act as a barrier. So, due to this region receive heavy rainfall, but as this clouds become lighter and they cross this escarpment and they move further, this side receives less rainfall. So, you can see here the amount of rainfall received here. Here it is 1200, but again when it crosses the escarpment, it comes towards the highland, the rainfall reduced to 600 mm. But again when it moves further, it gains moisture and the rainfall starts again increasing. It goes on increasing, and again this Guiana highlands act as a barrier, and then the rainfall goes on reducing, and when it crosses here, the rainfall must be reducing the more. So, this is the cross section profile of the place of Brazil, and here we can see now the escarpment is here. This region is covered by our escarpment, and the figure we are seeing is this direction. So, when this escarpments, when the winds blowing from the escarpments, when the escarpment act as a barrier, so we can see that these places they don't receive rainfall at all. They don't receive rainfall at all, and these places which are in dark blue, because they are getting rainfall from these winds. These are the northeast winds. These northeast winds give rainfall to this region. So, here there is no barriers. So, this region receives heavy rainfall. This is a region of Amazon Valley. We will study in detail about this further. Again, I will explain you. Now, see how this barrier acts as. This is already studied by us in 9th standard, that is orographic rainfall. See, the winds carry moisture ladder, winds are carried by the wind. So, these clouds, when they become heavier and heavier, and so they give rainfall to this place, and as they cross this mountain or this barrier, the amount of rainfall carried by them reduces. This reduces, and this side is known as a leeward side of the mountain. So, this is the side where we get less rainfall, and here this is the side where we receive heavy rainfall. Now, let us solve questions from the page number textbook, page number 25. So, what is the average range of temperature in Brazil? So, we can just go through what is the average temperature. So, we can see the average temperature is 28 and 18. The average temperature is moving beside 18 and 28. We can see 23 also, means our temperature is moving between 18 and 28. Now, in which area does it rain more in Brazil? So, it is the area that is Amazon river basin. And from which direction are winds flowing towards the Brazil? That is from from southeast and northeast direction. And what would be the obstruction in the way of the winds? So, the obstruction would be the Great Escarpment and the Brazilian highlands. Now, which type of rainfall will occur because of this winds? Naturally, orographic rainfall. When the rainfall is received due to some barriers, it is called as orographic rainfall. And which parts of Brazil are the average temperatures are very low? They are Paraguay and Parana river basin. And which region do we find a higher temperature in the region? The region near the equator. And in which method is used to show this distribution of the map? Tell me, students. Now, we have already learned that in 9th standard. It is isoplate method, that is drawing the lines, and chloropleth method, that is using of different color shades, or we can same shades or different shades of the same color. So, it is a chloropleth method. Now, let us read study of page number 26, the map of India. So, in this map of India, again we can see what is the average temperature. See, it is 26, 23, 20. Okay. Here also we can see different shades of color. See, here we can see the heavy rainfall, dark blue shades are there. These are the winds that bring rain to our country. So, see, can you see these dark blue lines? Now, this indicates that some of the barrier must be there here in this part, and again some of the barrier must be here in this part, because here we can see the dark blue shades. So, what would be the guesses of children? Okay, why there is a darker shade here? Yes, here is our Western Ghats. They act as a barrier for this place, and because of this barrier, this region gets heavy rainfall. And as we cross this region, the rainfall is very less. So, we get light blue shade. But as soon as the clouds move further, they accumulate more moisture and it start raining more. So, little bit the shade of that blue has become darker. So, from this we can see some places of India. Here also some hills are there, Naga hills, Gora hills, and so here also we can find heavy rainfall. Okay. So, let us solve the question based on this. Which region get more rainfall, more than 4000 mm of rainfall? So, when we go through the map, we come to know the dark blue shades are called as the more than 4000. So, which are these dark blue shades? The southern part, okay, southern part and western part. So the southern part of western coastal region and the northeastern region receive more than 400 mm rainfall. And identify the region with maximum and minimum temperature. So, maximum is desert of Rajasthan and the peninsula region. We can see again how can we come to know the temperature of a region. See students, here this 29, this is the area near Rajasthan, this 23, the different ranges of we can come to know from this. Then where is the minimum temperature we can find? In the Himalayan region, because again we are moving farther from the equator. Can you tell me where is equator here students? Yeah, equator is not in India. We will have a tropic of Cancer passing here, and India's last location, it is above equator. So, equator does not pass through India, tropic of Cancer passes through India. So, it was we can say a nullified effort to search here where equator passes here. Okay. So, tropic of Cancer passes from here, we can see tropic of Cancer passing from here. So, as we move away from this tropic of Cancer, we will see the temperature is decreasing. Okay, because we are moving now from this the torrid zone I had shown you earlier, that from between the equator and this tropic of Cancer we will have high temperature, but as we move away from this tropic of Cancer, the temperature would be decreasing. So, to which direction is the temperature increasing? Naturally towards the south. And which winds are responsible for the rainfall in India? They are the southwest monsoon winds. See the direction of the wind. These are the southwest monsoon winds. They bring rain to our country. Identify the direction of winds shown. What are they known as? The direction of winds shown is from southwest to northeast, and these winds are known as northwest monsoon winds. And which parallel of latitude passes through India affecting its climate? That is tropic of Cancer. And which part of peninsular India are semi-arid climatic condition found, and why? So, semi-arid conditions are found in Western Ghats, and this region is known as the rain shadow region. See students, here once we cross the Western Ghats, this region is the semi-arid region. Now, how this region is found as semi-arid region? See here, this is the picture of Maharashtra plateau. See students, where the clouds are formed, these clouds, because of the Sahyadri hills, they obstruct it. So, these clouds has to rise higher and higher. As they rise higher and higher, they give heavy rainfall this region. Okay. So, these are our western coastal regions. So, like Konkan region, we get heavy rainfall here. But once it crosses this mountain, because of the high altitude they can't carry this moisture is all given out here, the rainfall is given out here. This region receives very less rainfall. So, this is called the leeward side of the mountain, where we will get arid region, because now the rainfall has reduced. So, this we can see the cloud has become fully empty, but as it moves again farther and farther, it gathers the moisture, and again this region starts raining heavily. So, we can say that this region, in our map we can see this region, once it crosses the western Ghats, we will have the arid region. This region is called as a rain shadow region. Now, let us read about the geographical explanation why it is happening in the Brazil, the climate condition of Brazil. So, because of the vast latitudinal extent of Brazil, it experiences wide range of climatic variation in climate. For example, near equator it is hot, while temperate type of climate is found near the Tropic of Capricorn. We have already see the region, see here. Brazil equator is passing, and here is the Tropic of Capricorn. So, this region is having the maximum temperature. So, here it is very hot, but here the temperature goes on reducing as we move away from the equator. I had already shown you in the first slide how the heat zones, temperature zones are created different. So, here is the region where it receives maximum temperature, and as we move away the temperature reduces. So, Brazil is having two different type of climate, that is hot, and near the Tropic of Capricorn we may have the temperate type of climate. Brazil gets rainfall from the southeast trade winds and northeast trade winds. The parts of Brazilian highlands extend up to the north coast, and the escarpment act as an obstruction to the winds blowing from the sea and causes the orographic type of rainfall in the coastal region. See here, these are the escarpments. The escarpments here, they act as the barrier. The winds, the southeast winds that are blowing from here, they act as this escarpment act as a barrier, and because of this region don't receive heavy rainfall. And here we can see that drought quadrilateral, in third lesson we have read, it is formed. And again when it moves further, this Brazilian highlands, again their height is little bit more, so here also little bit barrier is created, and because of that this region gets a little bit less rainfall. See, we can go to that slide. Here you can see, because of this here there is very less rainfall. Okay. Now, beyond the highlands, the effect of these winds get reduced. As a result, the rainfall is minimal. Now, as they move away, water content in the clouds are reduced, so that the rainfall there is very less. So, this creates a rain shadow region, and this region is called as drought quadrilateral. Now, considering the temperature in Brazil, the northern part of Brazil is hot, while the temperature in the southern part are comparatively lower. What is the reason behind it? Again, the reason is the same. This is the northern part of Brazil. Here, because they are near to the equator, it is hot, and the southern part, as we move away from the equator, they are comparatively cooler. The seasonal variations are found in this pattern. Therefore, naturally there is a seasonal variation. Near the equator at Brazilian coast, temperature does not vary much. Always remember, students, the region that are near the coastal region, their climate is maintained because of the land breeze and the sea breeze. So, the temperature of that region is normally managed or maintained, we can say. They doesn't vary much, they doesn't change much. In the coastal region near the equator in Brazil, again the difference in the temperature is negligible. Now, winds here move in a vertical direction. Now, what is this vertical direction? Because the region near the equator, there is continuous evaporation because of the direct sunlight of the heat. So, because of the evaporation, clouds are formed, they move in the upward direction. So, and similarly we can say the convergence zone of the trade wind is very weak here. So, we can see in our picture, the slide, how these winds are blowing. These winds, the direction of the winds, the southeast and the northeast, these winds, they will never converge. The meeting place of these two winds would be very rare, or we can say it is near to impossible. So, the creation of cyclone is also very less. So, we can say the conversion of this trade winds being, and as a result cyclones are not formed, and that is why the tropical cyclones rarely visit the coast of Brazil. Now, most of the part of this country lies in the tropical zone. The equator passes through the northern part of the country and the temperature is more in this region. The average temperature of Amazon Valley is 25 to 28 degrees Celsius, and the climate is cooler in the highlands because of the proximity to the sea. And the coast experience mild and humid climate. Again, near the coast there will be mild climate because it balances sea breeze and land breeze, and the Amazon Valley receives around 2000 mm of rainfall, while the northeastern coast receives 1000 to 1200 mm of rainfall. Now, let us try to read about the India's climate. Now, before reading the India's climate, let us see how the winds, that south winds that bring rain to India, how this south, we can see how these winds bring rain to India. So, before that just we can go through this. Now, see, this is our picture of the world. When it is summer in India, we will have hot climate here, and in the Indian Ocean we will have a cold climate here. So, here a low pressure is created and here the high pressure is created. So, from it is a tendency of air to move from high pressure to the low pressure area. So, here, because in summer the circle starts of air blowing towards India, but here is the equator, here is the equator. So, this winds move in this direction, but once they cross this equator, they change the direction because of the equator, because of the rotation near the equator. They change the direction and they start moving towards India. And in India, here in Rajasthan, a low pressure belt is created. They are attracted towards this, these clouds are attracted towards this low pressure area. So, let us study that in detail again. Now, India's climate is monsoon type. The sun rays are perpendicular up to the Tropic of Cancer, which passes through the middle of the country. Already explained, student, that how this Tropic of Capricorn, Tropic of Cancer passes from here in India. So, this region receives a perpendicular, mainly perpendicular sun rays from the so we receive perpendicular sun rays throughout the year. The temperature is throughout the year, here it would be a hot climate only, and towards the north we will have a cold climate. As a result, average temperature higher throughout the year, and also the temperatures increases towards the south. In winters the temperature drop to -40 degrees Celsius in Jammu and Kashmir and the parts of mountainous region of Himalayas. In Himalayas again we move far away from we can say away from the equator. So, here we will find low temperature. Here the temperature would reduce because the Tropic of Cancer is passing from here. So, when we move away from, see, you can see the Tropic of Cancer, it is moving, the line is passing through here. Means as we cross this Tropic of Cancer, the temperature becomes low and low. So, here it reduces. As we move away from the equator, the temperature reduces. The diversity of climatic condition of India is due to the latitudinal location and the altitude of the place. We have different climatic condition because of the our nearness, our latitudinal location, which location we are near to the equator or we are far away from the equator, and the altitude means the height of that place. Now, the Indian Ocean and the Himalayan regions exert a great influence on the climate of India and the origin of monsoons. How Indian Ocean has an effect, I explained you that how monsoon winds are actually created there, but how this Himalayas, because this Himalayas, they act as the barrier for us. When clouds are formed, when the clouds are brought to India and they move further and further, when they move further, this Himalayan range is here. Again they act as a barrier and they doesn't allow our clouds to cross this Himalayan range to the Tibetan region, we can say, means these clouds don't pass away from India. Because of this Himalaya, they retreat, they travel their journey again back to India, and they give again bring rainfall to the southern peninsular region of our India. So, this in Himalayas they create a very great influence on Indian climate. Otherwise, from here also students, there are cold winds blowing on, but this Himalaya act as a barrier. So, these cold winds don't enter India. Okay, just see this slide I have prepared to explain how this clouds, they give maximum rainfall here and they don't travel here. So, this create a rain shadow region here. Okay, and here this region received maximum rainfall in India. Only this, because of Himalayas, this clouds don't travel the Himalayan mountains, or don't travel cross the Indian borders, we can say. Now, very cold winds blowing from the south are obstructed by the Himalayas. Similarly, the southwest monsoon wind retreat from the Shivalik and Himachal ranges of the Himalayas. Because of the high temperature in summers and low pressure areas are developed in Punjab plains and Thar desert of Rajasthan, this wind attracts winds blow from high pressure region in the Indian Ocean start blowing towards the mainland of India. This moisture laden winds bring rainfall. Because of the obstruction by the eastern and the western Ghat, it rains more in the coastal areas. The rainfall reduces in the leeward side. Now see here. From here, in Indian Ocean, it is the winds are created, moisture laden monsoon winds are created. They start blowing towards the Indian mainland. Here are our western Ghats. They act as the barrier. So here the western coastal region, they receive heavy rainfall, but once we cross this region, they actually, these clouds are attracted because of this, our great Indian desert. They are created because of the in summer they create a low pressure area, and here it was high pressure area. So they are moving towards this low pressure area. But again, here are the Aravalli ranges, students, and this Aravalli ranges again act as a barrier, and these clouds which were traveling towards them, they can't travel and they move in a parallel direction to the Aravalli range, and this, because of this Aravalli ranges, the other half part of Rajasthan, they don't receive rainfall. So this obstruction, because of this obstruction, this clouds blow parallel to the Aravalli ranges and they travel towards the north, and again in the north they are obstructed by this Himalaya mountains and they retreat. So we have read that they are obstructed by this, and we can say low pressure regions are created in Punjab and Thar desert of Rajasthan, and which attracts the monsoon winds from the Indian Ocean, and they bring rainfall to the Indian Ocean. And because of the obstruction caused by the eastern and the western Ghat, it rains more in the coastal areas, and in the leeward side it doesn't rain heavily. The winds blow parallel to the Aravallis. As a result, rainfall is low in the parts of Gujarat and Rajasthan. Later, these winds move towards the Himalayas. Their moisture carrying capacity increases, and orographic type of rainfall occurs because of the natural obstruction of the Himalayas. These winds return from the Himalayan ranges and their retreating journey starts. While blowing from the northeast towards the Indian Ocean, these winds bring rainfall to the some parts of the peninsula. This is the retreating monsoon. See here. Now what happens? The wind starts blowing from here, western Ghats acts as a barrier, so the rainfall here is little bit less, and then it starts moving. Again this Aravalli ranges act as a barrier, they start moving parallel, but when they move towards Himalayas, Himalayan mountain act as an obstruction or barrier. So now all the rain actually has been given to all this part, and the clouds start the retreating journey from here. They move towards the Indian Ocean, but while retreating, again they gather moisture from this region, and while retreating they give this we have a heavy rainfall in this southern region of India. They receive retreating monsoon, they are called as retreating monsoon, and we get a bring rainfall to some parts in peninsula. This is the retreating monsoon season in India. In general, the climate of India is hot throughout the year. Now, as a Tropic of Cancer passes through the middle of India, India is considered to be a tropical region. Now, India faces natural disasters like erratic rainfall, means in uneven rainfall. Sometimes it may rain heavily, or sometimes it may be no rain. We face droughts, we face cyclones, floods, etc. very frequently. There are 4 seasons as per the Indian Meteorological Department: hot weather season, season of rainfall, monsoon, season of retreating monsoon, and the cold weather season. So now students, let us compare the climate of India and Brazil. India, it is monsoon type, Brazil it is tropical type. The temperature is lower in the northern part and higher in the southern part. Here the temperature is higher in the northern part and lower in the southern part. The reason is the equator. We are above the equator, and from Brazil the equator passes. So, we can find the difference in this. The rainfall is lower in the northern part and higher in the southern part. Here the rainfall is higher in the northern part, again lower in the southern part. Hot and humid climate is found near the coastal region, and mild and humid climate is found here in the coastal region. This is the end of the lesson. I hope you have understood the lesson clearly. Thank you.